It is my duty to inform the House that the Speaker is unavoidably absent. Therefore, in accordance with the statutes, I would ask the Honourable Deputy Speaker to please take the chair.
O eternal and almighty God, from whom all power and wisdom come, we are assembled here before thee to frame such laws as they may tend to the welfare and prosperity of our province. Grant, O merciful God, we pray thee, that we may desire only that which is in accordance with thy will, that we may seek it with wisdom and know it with certainty and accomplish it perfectly for the glory and honor of thy name and for the welfare of all our people. Amen. We acknowledge we are gathered on Treaty 1 territory and that Manitoba is located on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Dakota Iote, Dene Sulene, and Neothuk nations. We acknowledge Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We respect the spirit and intent of treaties and treaty making and remain committed to working in partnership with First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples in the spirit of truth, reconciliation, and collaboration. Please be seated. Routine proceedings, introduction of bills, committee reports, tabling of reports, ministerial statements. The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise today to give an update to the House on the flood outlook for Manitoba. As members have already seen in the media, the Fisher River Basin is very likely to have a significant flood this season, particularly affecting the communities of Peguis First Nation, Fisher River Cree Nation, and communities in the rural municipality of Fisher. Elevated flood risk in the Icelandic River Basin could affect towns like Arborg and Riverton, and low-lying lands in the Parkland region could experience high water levels as well. The additional precipitation forecast to begin tonight could make the situation more severe. Manitoba is very fortunate to have the Hydrological Forecast Center within my Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. These hardworking civil servants on that team, as well as across the whole department, have been working in lockstep with communities to secure sandbags, super sandbags, heavy equipment, planning, technical engineering support, and design for clay diking, as well as labor to protect homes and critical community infrastructure. Staff have also been working with communities to improve critical roads and establish emergency detours. I want to thank all of the volunteers in Manitoba who have shown up to support their fellow Manitobans. Every day for over a week, there have been hundreds of provincial, federal, and municipal staff and volunteers who traveled to Peguis to support the community. The Premier and myself and the Minister of Natural Resources and Indigenous Services have been up in Peguis throughout the past week. I also had the opportunity to meet with the chief in Fisher River. And it's really important that we've been able to connect and work closely with the chiefs in those nations that are taking the lead on these flood mitigation efforts. I also want to extend my gratitude to my federal counterpart, Eleanor Olszewski, who is the Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience, for her attentiveness to these issues and the support that's come from the federal government. Manitoba's private contracting industry has also been assisting with preparedness efforts. It has truly been a One Manitoba response to prepare for flooding and prevent devastating damage to homes, wastewater treatment plants, and arenas. For a quick snapshot of the situation in Fisher River Cree Nation and Peguis First Nation, Our government provided over 800,000 sandbags and 23,000 super sandbags to protect assets, as well as heavy equipment and sandbag machinery. The runoff and weather events we have experienced for the last few weeks have also had an impact on the Parkland region, Vermilion River, Swan River, and the Assiniboine River. This winter saw a significant amount of snow in the region, and this weekend's expected storm will increase the risk of overland flooding. If there is one thing Manitobans know how to contend with, it's flooding. We collectively have a lot of experience, and our emergency management team is in regular contact with the regions potentially affected. Staff are currently out steaming culverts and breaking up ice to allow for water to flow. Thank you for your time, Honorable Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I just want to thank the Minister opposite for the flood update. We certainly appreciate being kept apprised of the government's efforts, and I also want to thank all those in the department, everyone involved in preparing Manitoba's flood response. As a member representing the constituency of Borderland, which is often an epicenter of flooding, being along the Red River, I know the importance of this issue and this upcoming season, flooding season, where we're anticipating runoff and rising water levels and the challenges and dangers that presents. So again, I want to thank the Minister and everyone in her department involved in the response this year. Thank you.
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise today to proudly say Happy Earth Day and to honour the many Manitobans who dedicate their time, expertise, and passion to protecting the environment. Across our province, environmental organizations, educators, community leaders, and innovators are doing the essential work of supporting wildlife and habitats, teaching families how to grow food, advancing climate resilience, and building a cleaner economy through new technologies. Their efforts strengthen our communities, our health, and our shared future. Environmental stewardship is not work that can be done alone. Whether we're talking about clean energy, nature, and water protection, or preparing communities for extreme weather, these issues touch every part of our society and economy. I want to acknowledge the many partners, municipalities, Indigenous nations, nonprofits, businesses, and young people who lead this work. I would like to share several important milestones from the last year. Last June, our government and Efficiency Manitoba launched the Affordable Home Energy Program with a goal of supporting thousands of families in installing heat pumps. I'm pleased to report that 800 families have already installed geothermal heat pumps, with many more adopting air source heat pumps, reducing energy bills. This also strengthens our electricity grid and helps families stay comfortable year-round. I also want to recognize Efficiency Manitoba for being the only jurisdiction in Canada delivering on the federal Greener Homes Affordability Program to directly benefit residents right here at home. In October, we released Manitoba's Path to Net Zero, a broad roadmap that touches every sector of our society and economy. Work is well underway on the first set of action plans that will make this path tangible and demonstrate clear leadership at a time when climate action is most urgent. The path is designed so that all Manitobans, businesses, students, Indigenous nations, communities, and NGOs can see themselves in the work ahead. And we've heard this reflected back to us since its launch. Last month, as part of Budget 2026, we announced support for municipalities to make public transit free for students across Manitoba. This will make the climate-friendly choice easier while reducing barriers for students getting to school and getting around, and also help build a new generation of public transit riders. This initiative builds on the work of Manitoba's first climate educator in residence, who has been supporting curriculum development and helping integrate climate action into classrooms across our great province. And just last week, the 4 First Nations of the Seal River Watershed Alliance, Parks Canada, and our government shared with the world the formal proposal to protect nearly 7% of Manitoba as the province's first Indigenous protected and conserved area. This proposal represents what is poised to become the single largest protected area in Manitoba, combining the largest provincial protected area with the largest national protected area in our province. I want to acknowledge the years of dedication and collaboration that have brought us to this historic moment. Today, I'm also pleased to highlight new investments in organizations that help Manitobans make informed climate choices and build resilient communities. Climate West will receive $170,000 over the next 3 years to support climate resilience and adaptation across the prairie provinces. The University of Winnipeg's Prairie Climate Centre will receive $200,000 to advance climate education and ensure Manitobans have access to the data and tools that they need. And EcoWest's Southeast Regional Transit Initiative will receive $400,000 to expand electric vehicle charging infrastructure and develop a low-carbon mobility option for approximately 80,000 residents in southeastern Manitoba. I want to congratulate these organizations for their leadership and thank all those working behind the scenes to make this progress possible. I'm also proud to announce that Manitoba's Youth Advisory Committee has now been formally appointed. These young Manitobans bring energy, insight, and big ideas to the table, and they will play an important role in shaping our climate action plans. I look forward to working with them in the years ahead and championing their ideas in this House. Much has been accomplished in our time in government, helping Manitobans make the switch to EVs, launching the first call for wind power in a generation, providing the biggest ever rebates to Manitobans to make homes more energy efficient, saving the LeMay Forest, and reinstating funding to Manitoba's environmental NGOs, among others. And there's more to do. To everyone across Manitoba who continues to advocate for the environment, who calls for strong policy, and who works every day to build a sustainable future for the next generation, we thank you. Your efforts matter, and your provincial government is committed to working alongside you. Together, we're building a Manitoba that is cleaner, stronger, and more prepared to address the challenges of tomorrow. Thank you. Merci. Miigwech.
The Honourable Member for Rodney Mountain.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, today I rise to recognize April 22nd as Earth Day, a global day of action and reflection focused on protecting our environment and ensuring a sustainable future for generations to come. Earth Day is a reminder that stewardship of our natural environment is a shared responsibility. A balanced, practical approach is one that protects our environment while supporting economic growth, energy security, and opportunities for Manitobans. Earth Day's theme, Our Power, Our Planet, emphasizes the importance of clean, reliable energy and the role it plays in reducing emissions and supporting long-term sustainability. Manitoba is well positioned to lead in this area with one of the cleanest energy grids in North America, driven by hydroelectric power that provides affordable and dependable electricity to families and businesses. Honourable Deputy Speaker, Manitoba is home to some of the most beautiful and diverse landscapes in the country. From our prairies and forests to our lakes and rivers, places like Riding Mountain National Park and Whiteshell Provincial Park are not only sources of pride, but also vital parts of our natural heritage that must be protected and preserved. Our responsibility is clear. We must continue to invest in conservation, protect our water and natural resources, and support responsible development that balances environmental protection with economic opportunity. That means working with communities, Indigenous partners, and industry to ensure sustainable outcomes that benefit all Manitobans. Earth Day is also an opportunity for individuals to take action, whether it's reducing waste, conserving energy, supporting local conservation efforts, or simply spending time outdoors. Every effort contributes to a healthier environment. I encourage all Manitobans to take time today to appreciate the natural beauty that surrounds us and to reflect on the role we all play in protecting it. By taking a practical, balanced, and forward-looking approach, we can ensure that Manitoba remains a place where both environment and our economy thrive for today and for future generations. Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Before we head on to member statements, I'd like to recognize a student group in the gallery. We have seated in the public gallery from Ralph Maybank School, 18 grade 5 students, under the direction of Matthew Thompson. This group is located in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Fort Garry. And member statements. The Honourable Minister of Sport, Culture, Heritage and Tourism.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise today to recognize the incredible spirit of community service shown by the volunteers of our annual free tax clinic in Assiniboia. For many in my community, particularly our seniors and those living on a fixed income, the task of filing taxes can feel incredibly overwhelming. It is in these moments that small practical supports can make a truly meaningful difference in the lives of our neighbours. For 2 years, my constituency office has been proud to host this free tax clinic throughout March and April. What began as a simple effort has grown into a vital community initiative shaped by need and strengthened by the compassionate people who take part in it. By removing financial and emotional barriers, we help ensure that constituents can access the benefits and credits they are entitled to, while easing the stress that often accompanies this time of year. This clinic is intentionally low barrier. Participants are not simply handed forms, but are welcomed in and supported through every single step of the process. Our volunteers take the time to sit down, listen, and carefully guide individuals through each step. And beyond the practical filling of forms, this space has become a profound place for connection, allowing us to meet with constituents, hear their concerns and their experiences, and better understand the challenges they are navigating in their everyday lives. Honourable Deputy Speaker, it's truly inspiring to see the dedication of our community volunteers year after year. Without them, we would not be able to offer this service. I ask all members to join me in applauding our volunteers who are joining us online from this year and last for their incredible service to the community members of our wonderful Assiniboia. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Spruce Woods.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I rise today to address an issue that is affecting families across Manitoba every single day, the growing childcare crisis. While this government often points to affordability measures, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Yes, fees have come down, but what good is affordable childcare if families cannot find a space in the first place? Parents in our communities are waiting months, sometimes years, just to secure a spot. Wait lists are long, frustrating, and uncertain. For many families, it's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of whether they can go back to work at all. 52% of parents have delayed returning to work. Mothers and fathers are delaying careers, turning down opportunities, and in some cases leaving the workforce entirely because they simply cannot access reliable childcare. Like my own grandson that has been on the list since his mother was 3 months pregnant. And that'll be 4 years, it was 4 years in January. And I know ones that have never got into a daycare. I have constituents driving 1 hour from home to daycare to work, and then the same in the evening. This is shameful. We have a residency doctor in Brandon having to delay the residency twice now due to no daycare availability for her. So training doctors now slows due to this crisis. The Auditor General says Manitoba is unlikely to meet their targets on time because this government has poor planning, lack of data that they are keeping, and staff shortage. Rural and smaller communities are feeling this pressure even more. Families there have been even fewer options, and the gap continues to widen. Because childcare is not a luxury—
The honourable member's time has expired. Is there leave? I hear no. Further member statements? The honourable member for Brandon West.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. I'm privileged today to recognize my Brandon West constituent, Mr. Kerry Oriat, a man whose contributions to Brandon, to Manitoba and beyond are far greater than what you will ever find in his professional bio. I'm pleased to welcome Kerry along with his fiancée, Christina Torres, who are joining us in the gallery today. Kerry is someone who gives quietly, consistently, and with purpose. He co-chaired the Murray House campaign, something he rarely takes credit for, yet his efforts were real, and the comfort it provides to families will remain a lasting part of his legacy. His commitment to community runs wide. He has served the Brandon General Hospital Foundation, co-chaired funding efforts for the Brandon Riverbank, supported the Brandon YMCA, the Brandon University Foundation, the Art Gallery of Southwestern Manitoba, the Brandon Toy Lending Library, Crime Stoppers, and the Brandon Chamber of Commerce, but it doesn't stop there. Kerry's influence reaches into both education and public life. He has taught business at Brandon University, served on the Board of Governors, moderated debates, and shared his commentary as a columnist. But it's the work that he does out of the spotlight that has made such a lasting difference in our community. It's a legacy that continues today, reflecting in the Oriat family broadcasting studio at Assiniboine College. Kerry has now taken on yet another challenge, serving as chair of the capital campaign for the Assiniboine College Foundation's Where Care Begins, a project that will transform diagnostic care in rural Manitoba. His generosity reaches beyond our borders as treasurer of the Canadian Friends of Rambam Healthcare Campus in Haifa, Israel, reflecting his belief in global responsibility and the power of healthcare to change lives. Kerry's impact is lasting. His service is always sincere and strengthens our community in ways that deserve recognition. Please join me in recognizing a true man of honor, Mr. Kerry Oriat.
The Honourable Member for Fort Garry.
On May 28, 2025, I requested records from the Canoe government about how many people were on the ankle bracelet program and how many have been tampered with. On July 11th, I received a reply from the Justice Department saying they didn't track those numbers. That turned out not to be true. October 27th, CBC obtained that very information from the Justice Minister's office. Justice Minister's office full and lied, provided a fraudulent response to a FIPA request. There has been no investigation, no explanation, not even an apology, and no one has been held accountable for breaching Manitoba law. On July 22nd, I made a request to the Minister of Education for chronic absentee numbers. After numerous delays on February 3rd, a full 7.5 months later, I was given a briefing note that didn't have that number, something the Minister's office claimed they didn't have. Again, that turned out not to be true. The 2024 chronic numbers were leaked to me by a senior NDP official. This government lied about the existence of those numbers and tried to bury them. Again, this government flagrantly and intentionally broke the law. To this day, the Canoe government refuses to take responsibility, and no one has been held to account. They still refuse to release the 2025 numbers they have in their possession. On November 12, 2024, I made the request seeking access to the cost to maintain the Premier's car and driver. On December 18, 2024, they claimed that those records didn't exist, a response that was plain nonsense. A complaint was filed with the Ombudsman, who issued a ruling on January 16, 2026, ordering the Canoe government to release that information. To date, they have not. 17.5 months later, this government continues to stonewall and refuses to disclose to Manitobans where their taxpayer dollars are going. This is a government that routinely and flippantly violates Manitoba law, a government that doesn't feel it's accountable to...
The member's time has expired. Before we move on to oral questions, we have guests in the gallery. We have with us in the public gallery Omowale Atiku, Maya Everton, Cade Croker, and Belize Umwali Rutaganda from the Royal Canadian Mint, who are here as guests of the Legislative Internship Program. We also have seated in the public gallery from Landmark School 35 grade 9 students under the direction of Jane Mullen. This group is in the constituency of the Honourable Member for Dawson Trail. Oral questions. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
If you look up the definition of hypocrisy, you will find a picture of this canoe government. At a time of economic pressures, Manitobans are looking for help and getting none from this NDP government. Families can't pay their bills, can't put healthy food on their tables, and they can't fill up their gas tanks. So what does this NDP government do? They send $12 million of work, of jobs, to the United States by canceling those contracts here in Manitoba. Wow. Canceling those contracts with local companies that employ Manitobans. That is $12 million being sent by this NDP government to American firms. Why did the Premier betray Manitobans, fire Manitoban workers, fire Manitoban families, and funnel business to the United States of America?
The Honourable First Minister.
They love Donald Trump. What is he talking about? We hate Donald Trump. We can't stand the guy. We're the party that put the big Canadian flag outside of the building. That's right. We're the ones who stood up and said we will never be the 51st state. And we're the ones who said we're going to work with the government of Canada and every province and territory to build the true north strong and free. What did they do on that side of the house? Well, the leader of the PCs went onto a podcast and he said, thank you, I would say thank you to Donald Trump for the tariffs. The member for Borderland also thanked Donald Trump. The member for Spruce Woods, also a big Donald Trump fan. They come in here wrapped in the maple leaf, but we know that their social media is littered with MAGA, Hexeth, and fake Pulp Fiction quotes.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a supplementary question.
Manitobans can see for themselves. I asked the Premier a question about your jobs, and he stands up and makes jokes. He won't repeat those accusations outside the chamber because he knows they are complete and utter lies. When local suppliers win these contracts, they hire local Manitobans.
Order. It's a well-known rule within this chamber that we can't accuse other members of lying, so I'd ask you to recuse or withdraw that comment. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
I actually can't hear you.
The order. Members are not able or allowed to accuse other members of lying in the chamber, so I'd ask that you withdraw that comment. The Leader of the Official Opposition.
I withdraw.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
When local suppliers win these contracts, they create jobs for Manitobans. They grow our economy. The profits and wages earned stay here in Manitoba, making Manitoba communities better. What this NDP government has done is the exact opposite. They are setting a terrible example for others to follow. And now the city of Winnipeg has ended their long-standing golf contract with Salisbury House in favor of the same billion-dollar company based out of the United States that this NDP government sent $12 million to. $12 million that should stay in Manitoba are now gone. Will the Premier admit the error of his ways and cancel that contract and keep $12 million right here in Manitoba?
The Honourable First Minister.
What's that in the distance? Is that the clout train that the member opposite is chasing? It's pretty far out there because I don't know why he's talking about Salisbury House and the city of Winnipeg here at the provincial government. What have we done? Well, Manitobans, we know that you love the great outdoors. And so let's talk about the parks on this being Earth Day. We made parks free, and then we brought back the contract for the sale of park passes right here to Canada, the true north, strong and free. Now, Honorable Speaker, you might be wondering, other than Earth Day, why is that relevant? Well, that's relevant because when that member was at the cabinet table, they contracted out the park pass permits to a company from Texas. What? Texas. Oh. There's nothing worse than Manitobans having to pay a company in the U.S. to enjoy the great outdoors here in Manitoba. That flies in the PC administration, but not with
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary.
The hypocrisy of this premier has no limit. He stands up and talks about contracts signed in the United States. His own government signed a contract for $12 million with a food supplier in the United States. Actually, when someone makes a mistake, they admit their error of their ways and they say, you know what, sorry, we'll fix it. What does this NDP government do? They took that $12 million and they tripled it to $36 million. That's $36 million that should be here in Manitoba for your family, for your job, for our economy, to make Manitoba better. But this premier will send $36 million to the United States of America. Will the premier stand up today, admit he was wrong, say he was sorry, and bring that $36 million back to Manitoba to grow our economy and help Manitoba families today?
The Honourable First Minister.
When it comes to growing the economy, we're cutting taxes on all food and drinks at the grocery store in Manitoba. We cut the gas tax to put more money back in your pocket. This month alone, 11,000 new jobs in the great province of Manitoba. We're investing, we're returning money to you, we're working with the private sector to build a bright, beautiful future that includes the Port of Churchill. Now, what has the member opposite done? Well, he was found to have done something that he claimed in front of the media never happened. Your office released the audio proving that that was false. He came back in here and said that was just your interpretation, and then he went out into the hallway and said none of it ever happened. He contradicted recorded proof. The entry for hypocrisy in the dictionary is his homeland. I will continue to acknowledge that land each and every day that we're here. That's right.
Order. The Leader of the Official Opposition on a new question.
No one believes what this smug, arrogant hypocrite is saying, Honourable Speaker. You can look at his track record or his criminal record to see that, Honourable Speaker. When it comes to support Manitobans, Manitobans can see that this government is falling short. This NDP sent $36 million to the United States of America when that money should have stayed here. This NDP cut out local grocery stores, mom and pop stores, and local restaurants, Honourable Speaker. This NDP government is now cutting 88% of Manitobans that work in the construction industry in this province in favor of their union bosses. It is clear that this premier, this hypocrite, does not care about you. Will he reverse his decisions today and commit to bringing that money back home to Manitoba and growing Manitoba's economy?
The Honourable First Minister.
Well, I want to acknowledge the traditional territory of hypocrisy on which he has resided for many, many years. It's the first time I've ever been accused of it, because I said I would cut the gas tax, and then I did. That's right. I said I would search the landfill, and then we did. I said we would staff up healthcare, and we have. That's right. Now, who is my boss? You are my boss. The people of Manitoba are my boss. You elected us to come here and to fix healthcare and make life affordable. That's what we're doing. Fixing healthcare, making life affordable. Nobody elected us to sell out to the United States of America. That's why the PCs who do that each and every single day are not in government. That's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a first supplementary question.
Let's recap what the Premier said. He admitted that he is failing when it comes to healthcare. He admitted that he has the worst economy in Canada, and he admitted that affordability is not affordable under his NDP government. And now he's killing jobs in Manitoba with his NDP jobs killing agreement. It's hurting Manitobans, not growing it. But don't take my word for it. Winnipeg Construction Association, Manitoba Heavy Construction Association, Construction Association of Manitoba all say this NDP job-killing agreement is killing Manitobans. It's going to remove 88% of the workforce in Manitoba. This NDP government is once again picking unions over the rest of Manitobans. Will the Premier put an end to his NDP job-killing agreement?
Order.
Today, and really commit to growing Manitoba's economy for everyone.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, 11,000 more jobs in the province just this month. Tens of thousands of people put to work since we took office. And we are never ashamed to say this: the best way to help somebody join the middle class is to help somebody join a union. That's right. And so that's why the Manitoba Jobs Agreement are on the side of the workers. You know who else is on the side of Manitoba Jobs Agreements? The federal government. The federal government, who are investing billions of dollars into military investment, are asking for prevailing union wages to be paid. You know who else is on side with the union jobs and prevailing union wages? Pierre Poilievre, fresh off of UFC Winnipeg. He supports unions. So whether you're a UFC fan, a hockey fan, a cheer fan, or a Canada fan through and through, union jobs are for you. The only one opposed, of course, is to the shrinking ranks of the failed people.
The Minister's time has expired. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition on a final supplementary question.
You know who's against the NDP job-killing agreement? 88% of Manitobans that work in that industry are against this NDP job-killing agreement. I'm going to quote Ron Hamley, President of Winnipeg Construction Association, says, "This MJA fee is being sent directly to Manitoba Building Trades without any clear oversight. Nobody in government has explained how the number was set, what is supposed to happen with the funds, where does the money go. At the end of the day, taxpayers are paying for this," end quote. Chris Lawrence, the president of Manitoba Heavy Construction Association, says, and I quote, "Transparency and accountability for public funds are absolutely critical. Neither are being done here," end quote. In light of this, I have sent a letter to the Auditor General to examine how the fees were set, who governs, collects the funds, and how those funds are reported publicly. Will the Premier stand up today and tell Manitobans where those funds are going, or will he simply admit that he is taking millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars and funneling it to his own
time
party?
has expired. I'd ask the member if he's quoting from a private document or a public document. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. It's too much heckling. Sorry.
Were you quoting from a public document or a private document? The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Public.
The Honourable First Minister.
We're going to make sure that Manitobans are trained. That's right. That's what the resources are for. Yeah. Now, when we want to talk about people who have illegally funneled money into their own party coffers, the PC Party of Manitoba is the only party to ever have been found to have done that. Yeah. That was in the Monin inquiry. Oh, yeah. And who is the only premier ever found to have broken the law and to have been fined? Well, it was the PC premier, Heather Stephenson, that was the political member of the political mentor of the member opposite. That's right. I do want to raise one more point, however, and that was that there was a pretty big gap in the law overseeing teachers that the PCs passed during the dying days of their administration. This allowed teachers found guilty of abusing children to voluntarily surrender and not be put in the registry. Thankfully, our education minister closed that gap. But I do want the leader of the PCs to tell us if that gap was allowed to persist in legislation because he was sitting in cabinet alongside the member for Ryan.
The minister's time has expired. The honourable member for La Vérendrye.
Honourable Speaker, back in the good old, not-so-distant days of 2019, Manitoba small businesses were growing.
The dark days.
Entrepreneurs were investing, and confidence was strong. These are the businesses that grow into the major employers our economy depends on. Today, under this government, that confidence is gone. According to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, only a small share of businesses plan to invest, while many are pulling back. Why has this government turned Manitoba from a place where businesses grow into a place where they're afraid to expand?
The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, Manitoba is a wonderful place for businesses to invest in and grow and expand their businesses. That's why Manitoba ranks #1 in the country in job growth. Nearly 11,000 new jobs right here just over the last month. Businesses are growing, businesses are expanding, and we're ranked #1 in the country. We won't take lessons from the former failed government, who frankly did nothing in their 7.5 years to grow our economy. Instead, we're seeing record levels of investment. Just last week, we know that Boeing is investing another $36 million right here in the aerospace sector in Manitoba. Another company that is choosing to invest, choosing to grow right here in Manitoba because of the hard work of our government to grow a stable, strong economy that works for all Manitobans.
The minister's time has expired. The honourable member for La Vérendrye.
Honourable Speaker, seniors taking a second job shouldn't be a victory lap for this minister. Businesses used to grow here. Businesses even used to move here. Now they're just trying to survive here. The numbers are clear. Only about 20% of small businesses plan to increase their investment here, while 35% are planning to scale back. At the same time, more than half say that rising costs and government policy are the biggest barriers for them to grow. How does this minister expect to grow the economy when most businesses are not expanding, but instead are bracing for tougher times under this NDP government?
The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, the member opposite is just clearly wrong. We are actually growing more businesses, and businesses are investing here in Manitoba. That's absolutely clear. Just look at the last couple of months. Bayer Crop Science announced that they're investing $45 million in a new research center right here in Winnipeg, another company that finds Manitoba is the right place to invest. This is our track record, creating an ecosystem for businesses to thrive here. 11,000 new jobs in the last month, but where are those folks working? We are tops in new construction sector jobs, Honourable Speaker. It means that our plan for Manitoba jobs agreements are putting more Manitobans to work with, guess what? Good wages, good union wages. The more Manitobans have opportunities to work
The minister's time has expired. The honourable member for La Vérendrye on a final supplementary question.
Honourable Speaker, we used to lead the country in machinery manufacturing. Now, in 1 year, this government has dropped that by 30%. But I'll help the minister because the solution is clear. Lower costs, restore confidence, and make Manitoba competitive again. That means real tax relief, like raising the basic personal tax exemption to $30,000 and creating a single-window business approval process to get projects moving. Will this government finally take action to support small business growth, or will they continue on their policies to drive investment out of Manitoba?
The Honourable Minister of Business, Mining, Trade and Job Creation.
Honourable Speaker, members opposite spend their time thanking Donald Trump for his tariffs and offering an unfunded economic proposal that will cost Manitobans millions, meaning cuts to education or other priorities. Instead, we're going to focus on building businesses the right way, working with all Manitobans, providing them good paying jobs and more of them, over 11,000 created just in the last month. In the construction sector, that's a huge rate, and it's actually #1 in the entire country. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to make sure the House knows that we're growing when it comes to real GDP, growing in terms of imports, growing in terms of housing starts, growing in terms of builds. growing in terms of employment rate, growing in terms of new skills tradesperson. And the only thing that's going down is our unemployment rate. Just like members opposite are going down, we're actually improving our economy unlike anything they ever did.
The honourable member for Borderland.
The other day we talked about how Manitoba's own homegrown construction industry is opposed to this NDP government's job-killing Manitoba Jobs Agreement. Here's Chris Lawrence from the Manitoba Heavy Construction Association who said, and I quote, "The Manitoba Jobs Agreement should raise red flags for every Manitoban. We are being forced to wastefully pay more and build less. The fact that Manitoba is requiring the definition of qualifying Manitoban to be tied to holding a union card to be able to work on a Manitoba taxpayer funding project like schools, hospitals, or roads is not only discriminatory, it is the biggest red flag of all. Why is this NDP government discriminating against Manitoba workers?"
The honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the member for that question. We are listening to Manitobans and we are listening to Manitoba workers, Honourable Speaker. Every worker under MJ is better off because of the MJ, Honourable Speaker. MJ is about Manitoba workers, Honourable Speaker. MJ is about fair wages, safe work site, better benefits. I have never met a worker who wants to make less, Honourable Speaker. We are turning construction site into training site. We are training the workforce for the future. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Borderland on a supplementary question.
The minister will want to listen to this. Chris Lawrence, who joined others in asking the Auditor General to investigate the government's MJA and the millions of dollars in political fees that they will be collecting, also said that, and I quote, "It should terrify all of us that the government is going to impose that kind of measure," end quote. When people like Chris Lawrence, with 35 years of experience in building Manitoba, say things like that, wouldn't it be time for this government to use a little common sense, apologize for not listening, for trying to foist this corrupt deal on Manitoba workers, and cancel this deal outright?
The Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Last month, the largest employment gain were in construction. So that's news for the member opposite. Manitobans want to see Churchill built, and we are training workforce to do that. This will mean more apprentice, more diverse workforce. These bids open to everyone, unionized, ununionized, Honourable Speaker. MJ is all about prioritizing Manitoba workers, Honourable Speaker. We want to see more Manitoba license plate on the work site, like on opposite what they did. They trained the workforce in Saskatchewan and Alberta. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
The honourable member for Borderland on a final supplementary question.
Here's what the Brandon Chamber of Commerce had to say. The Brandon Chamber of Commerce has also expressed concerns about this NDP government's damaging economic policies. They not only singled out the NDP imposition of a 1-to-1 apprenticeship ratio, which, by the way, is killing opportunities for Manitobans and has resulted in the first decline in years in the number of Manitobans registering to become an apprentice, but they also called this government's MGA a concern for many industry groups. So it's pretty clear that the only ones who love the Manitoba Jobs Agreement are sitting on that side of the chamber or in the NDP party's back room. So when will this government stop their tin-eared, ham-fisted approach, listen to the folks who know, and cancel this job-killing deal?
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I don't know why the member opposite hate workers here in Manitoba, Honourable Speaker. Conservatives don't listen to Manitoba workers. They only listen to the lobbyists, Honourable Speaker. They should go out and talk to those workers who want to make more money, not less, Honourable Speaker. They were given the opportunity to learn more about MJE, what the member ignored. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The honourable member for Roblin.
ER wait times in Winnipeg have reached record highs under this NDP government. The median ER wait time is now higher under the NDP than it has ever been. Wow. At 9:45 this morning, the posted wait time was 10 hours at the Grace, over 9 hours at HSC, and over 14 hours at St. Boniface Hospital. These wait times have increased since this time last year and have significantly increased since the NDP took office. Why are emergency room wait times getting so much worse under the NDP?
Why did you close?
The Honourable Minister for Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. I welcome the opportunity to stand up in question period and talk about the work we've been doing to fix the damage that was done in healthcare. And I think it's important to note that when we came into government, we had an extreme crisis in terms of staffing in the healthcare system. That's because the previous government fired hundreds of nurses, closed our 3 largest emergency departments, and cut hundreds of beds. So I'm happy to share that we announced as part of our budget that we have hired a net new over 4,000 healthcare workers to the front lines of our healthcare system. Hundreds of those workers are in ERs across the province and at our biggest sites. So we know there's a lot more work to do to fix that damage, but we're committed to doing that work every day for Manitobans.
Right on.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a supplementary question.
Whatever the NDP says that they're doing, it's not working. Things are moving in the wrong direction. On May 1st of last year, this Minister of Health promised Manitobans they were going to lower ER wait times by 1 hour over the next several months. Since then, wait times have creeped higher and higher to now record high levels. 4 people that we know of have died seeking emergency care. Why is it that the longer the NDP are in power, the worse things get?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, something else that we announced in our most recent budget was a $22.1 million investment to restore cardiac care excellence here in Manitoba. A historic investment in cardiac care. And part of that historic investment was investing in the emergency department at St. Boniface Hospital, one of the ERs in our province that's been hardest hit by the former PC's callous closures of our ERs. And we were so proud to stand with a family member, Morgan Ross, whose mother passed away actually in that ER. And I want to thank Morgan for her courage, for her strength, and for helping to inform the way that we strengthen not only emergency department care, but cardiac care for women in this province. Thank you, Morgan.
The Honourable Member for Roblin on a final supplementary question.
Nothing that the minister is saying explains why ER wait times have continued to climb to record high levels under their watch. Last year at this time, the median wait time in Winnipeg ERs was 3.97 hours. The minister said they were going to reduce that by an hour. It's been a year and they haven't reduced the wait time by even a fraction of an hour. In fact, the median wait is now 4.2 hours. Wow. If the NDP can't figure out how to lower ER wait times to the levels that they were at before they took over, could they at least stop making it worse?
The Honourable Minister of Health, Seniors and Long-Term Care.
Honourable Speaker, we knew when we came into government that our population was rapidly aging. We knew that people were showing up much more sick to the ERs. We knew that we had to do the work very, very quickly to stand up more capacity.
Order.
Now, everything we knew when we came into government is everything they knew for 7.5 years when they were in government. And instead of adding capacity, they cut it year after year after year, including the member for Roblin, who advised Heather Stephenson to close the ERs and to cut health care. So, Honourable Speaker, we're going to keep doing the work of fixing the damage that they did, building up capacity that should have been in place for years and years prior. But I'll take no lessons from that member who spent her time in opposition, in government advising to cut health care services.
Outstanding.
The Honourable Member for Portage la Prairie.
We've been hearing from seniors in Manitoba Housing that they have serious safety concerns with the changes the minister has made to the operations of their buildings. But the minister ignored each and every concern and deflected with partisan attacks. Tragically, it was revealed yesterday that someone died in the explosion at 444 Kennedy. Will the minister put the partisan rhetoric aside and commit to sitting down to get to the bottom of these seniors' concerns?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness.
Honourable Speaker, and I want to send my condolence out to that family and that whole community at 444 Kennedy. We're standing with them. I was out there, supporting the residents, supporting all of the support services that are in that building, that are providing wraparound supports to all of those residents that are in that community. That strip, they all know each other, they all support one another. So I just want to, let them know that we are there as a government. We're going to continue to be there. We're going to continue to show up, and we're going to continue to provide the supports that are needed for that community and any other community that we support in Manitoba Housing.
The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie on a supplementary question.
I've heard concerns about safety from residents all across Manitoba. There's serious concerns about criminality raised by residents, and while the investigation is ongoing, the minister can do a lot today to reassure residents that she will act. She could commit to real action. She bragged about stopping evictions. The fact is that she needs to evict those engaging in criminal activity that makes seniors feel unsafe in their homes. Will the minister do this today?
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker. That member knows under their watch when they were in government, they changed the practice, the policy under 55 plus buildings. They allowed folks that were under 55 to start tenanting into those buildings, took out security, which were measures that kept seniors safe. We've reversed that practice. We're turning those 55 plus buildings back to 55 plus buildings. We've brought security back in, which they fired. We're going to continue to put safety and security as our top priority, as we've done since we've took government, as well as maintaining, which they cut 87% off the maintenance of Manitoba Housing buildings. Top priority for our government.
The Honourable Member for Portage La Prairie on a final supplementary question.
So the answer I heard is there will be no action taken. One resident was incredibly clear with their media, and I quote, "The place is a psychiatric ward. It's ridiculous, the people that are living here, the drugs, the mental health issues. It's not a nice place to live."
Order.
The minister can say what she wants, but action means more than words. The residents who have had enough and want action. When will the minister commit to rooting criminal activity out of Manitoba housing so seniors can live in peace?
I'll just ask the member to confirm he was quoting from a public document or a private document. The Honourable Member for Portage.
That was public.
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Addictions and Homelessness.
Miigwech, Honourable Speaker, and I went down and I spoke to that gentleman, and that gentleman talked about living in that building for years, and under that former government, how bad it was and how much it's got better. Is there more work to be done? Absolutely, and we're committed to doing that work. We've put wraparound services in that building, including Canadian Mental Health, Sunshine House, and Equay. They're doing tremendous work. But under the former government, they put people in tents, didn't provide supports. These are folks that have complex needs. We are working with law enforcement. If there is criminal behavior happening in our buildings, we are ensuring that those folks are not, they are evicted, because we are ensuring that safety.
The minister's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Radisson.
Happy Earth Day, Honourable Speaker. After years under the climate change denying conservatives who cut thousands of dollars to essential environmental organizations, turned its back on conservation, and weakened environmental protections, Manitobans deserve better. We know Manitobans care deeply about land, water, and protecting our province for future generations to enjoy. Can our Environment and Climate Change Minister tell this House what our government is doing to build a more sustainable, environmentally responsible Manitoba for generations to come?
The Honourable Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
The previous PC government turned its back on the environment. They cut funding to important organizations that were protecting our land and our water. This Earth Day, our government announced $400,000 for the Southeast Regional Transit Initiative, connecting 11 municipalities and 80,000 Manitobans. We're also investing in the Prairie Climate Centre and supporting Climate West so Manitobans can take climate action. Where the PCs were climate laggards, we're working to be climate leaders.
The Honourable Member for Swan River.
Last year, the minister sat on his hands and did nothing. I stood in this very chamber and begged him to hire back retired experts who had reached out to his office. Wildlife suppression is as much an art as it is a science, and the knowledge that these individuals possessed was vital. He waited and waited and waited because the government relies on hope like they are now. Hope is not strategy. Last year, the minister delayed in hiring these needed experts, and clearly he still is. Are these knowledgeable experts available and ready for hire?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Indigenous Futures.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the members opposite waited for them to actually care about what was going on last year. We sat here in a state of emergency while they rang the bells here all night and did nothing. So here we are, concretely investing $1.2 million to add 19 firefighters, $1.2 million to upgrade the wildfire services, $1.1 million for aerial attack. Honourable Speaker, year after year, we're investing millions and millions of dollars. I asked that member to ask the former Minister of Natural Resources, the member for Riding Mountain, when we were investing millions of dollars, what was he doing with his millions?
The Honourable Member for Lac de Bonnet.
Honourable Speaker, June 16, 2025, 33 days after Sue and Richard.
Order, please. Order, please. I'll let the member for Lac de Bonnet restart his time because I couldn't hear what he was saying. The Honourable Member for Lac de Bonnet.
Plus the minute and a half that the NDP have killed today, Honourable Speaker. True. June 16th, 2025, 33 days after Sue and Richard Noel tragically died in one of those fires. Last June, the minister responsible for AMO said, and I quote, "Wildfire officials were prepared for everything that has transpired during the 2025 wildfire season." Yesterday, the same minister doubled down and said, "We were as prepared as we could possibly have been for a season like we had." I asked the minister to stand today and apologize.
The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, anytime we lose a Manitoban, it is a tragedy. And in the case of last summer's terrible wildfire season, which started in May, it was very sad to see that we lost 2 lives. I am very sorry for that family's loss. That's why we are renaming the bridge in their honor. I had the opportunity to speak to the Noel brothers to thank them for their good work. They do some very good work for the province, I can add. We should also thank one of their partners who is responsible for saving the lives of one of those brothers. So nothing but compassion and sympathy for this family as well as everybody impacted by the terrible wildfire season. If you want to get partisan, ask the member where he was on that day.
The honourable member for Fort Garry.
In the last election, the Premier promised Manitobans that he would reduce youth crime. Every year he's been in office, youth crime has gone up, a staggering 29% in the last 5 years. Study after study shows that there's a direct connection between chronic absenteeism of children in school and involvement in crime. The Premier knows this because in his public safety strategy, he pledged that as Minister of Education, Minister of Justice would work together to address school absenteeism. Surprise, surprise, Honourable Speaker, this hasn't happened, and I'll table the FIPA. It shows that the Minister of Justice has yet to meet with the Minister of Education to discuss chronic absenteeism and youth in the justice system. My question to this Premier is, why doesn't anybody in this government take this seriously?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable First Minister.
Honourable Speaker, youth violent crime dropped by 23% in Winnipeg. We're investing in schools. We started a universal school food program to keep more young people on the positive path here in this great province. That's right. Now, this member paid for his house by going to court and defending pedophiles, trying to get them out of jail. It probably makes sense that he's sitting not too far for the member for Riding Mountain after we've learned what he's been up to. There are serious questions of accountability that the PC party refuses to answer when it comes to their member putting up to $1 million bail forward for somebody who sexually assaulted a minor. Shame. These questions will continue to persist and dog the members opposite. The leader of the PCs, the member for Riding Mountain, and the member for Lac du Bonnet all sat at the cabinet table when they passed a law that has a huge gap in it. Did they do so?
Time has expired. And with that, the time for oral questions has expired. The Honourable First Minister on a point of order.
I couldn't help but notice that the PCs made sure that there was enough time for the independent member for Fort Garry to ask a question today. I'd like to canvass the House for leave so that the independent member for Dawson Trail could ask the question that he's been waiting to ask.
Is order. Is there leave in the House for the independent member from Dawson Trail to ask a question? I hear a no. And it's also not a point of order. Petitions. Order. Grievances. Order. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I do apologize. I forgot to recognize a group in the gallery. I would like to draw the attention of all honourable members to the public gallery, where we have with us today Andrea Sutherland, Danny Blair, Matthew Loxley, Christy Allen, Elizabeth Scheer, and Asha Nelson, who are the guests of the Minister of Environment and Climate Change. On behalf of all honourable members, we welcome you here today. We are on orders of the day, government business. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, can you please call Committee of Supply?
The House will now resolve into the Committee of Supply to consider departmental estimates. Will the Deputy Speaker please take the chair? Will the Committee of Supply please come to order? This section of the Committee of Supply will now consider the estimates of the Department of Public Service Delivery. Does the Honourable Minister have an opening statement? The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Good afternoon, Honourable Chair. Before I speak about 2026-27 estimate for public service delivery, I want to sincerely thank the public servants of PSD and our partners across government. I thank them for their professionalism, commitment, and dedication. The work in these estimates comes from steady effort, careful planning, and collaboration with other departments. Because of this work, government service stays reliable. Public infrastructure continue to support Manitobans every day. Our staff show the value of public service. They work hard, respond quickly when needs changes, and help make sure government programs run well and on time. Their work includes maintaining buildings, managing capital projects, delivering key regulatory and registry services. I also want to recognize the important role of our partners across the government. Working together across department is essential for strong and timely public service. With shared planning, open communication, and joint problem solving, we can address complex issues and deliver results for Manitobans across the province. As we review the estimate for the next fiscal year, it is important to note that the work of PSD staff and our partner affect the daily lives of Manitobans. Their work helps ensure staff have a safe workplace, program have reliable infrastructure, and the public can count on fair and consistent services. The investment and action in these estimates are not only financial decisions, they also show our responsibility to provide the best possible service to communicate across Manitoba. I'm grateful for the hard work shown by everyone involved. I thank them for their continued contribution. Because of their combined effort, we can deliver on our responsibilities and keep the high standard of public service that Manitobans accept and deserve. Public service delivery is the government internal service organization. Much of our work support other departments. PSD help department by planning, building, maintaining, and updating government infrastructure. PSD also deliver regulatory and registry services. These services protect the public under our consumer protection mandate. In practical terms, this means helping ensure staff have a safe workplace, program have reliable infrastructure, and the public can count on fair and consistent services. One important goal of PSD is to help ensure government programs are supported by facilities, reliable system, and the strong oversight of a capital project and purchasing. This focus on good management and accountability is shown in 2026-27 estimates. A central part of PSD's work is managing government-owned assets and delivering capital projects that support services delivery across Manitoba. Budget 2026 include a record $3.8 billion provincial capital plan with infrastructure investment in every region of the province. These investments help maintain existing assets, meet space and services needs, and help ensure public facilities stay safe, functional, and suitable for their intended use. Within this provincial plan, PSD has a direct capital budget of $90 million in 2026-27. This funding focused on maintaining and updating core government assets. It supports the continued operation of facilities that house critical programs, services used by Manitobans every day. Key PSD capital investment includes about $54 million for the operation, maintenance, and upgrade of more than 300 government-owned buildings across the province, from office space to service facilities. $10 million each to continue restoring and preserving the legislative building as part of the program running to 2034. These investments help keep services running, protect public safety, and reduce long-term costs by addressing infrastructure needs in a planned way. In addition to managing its own asset, PSD is maintaining organization that deliver capital projects for 8 client departments. PSD provide project management, procurement services, technical support, and oversight. In 2026-27, PSD is supporting $672 million in capital projects for the partner departments. These projects support education, housing, justice, and other public priorities. This work includes projects associated with school construction, including 4 new schools to support growing and changing communities, affordable and social housing project as part of the province's wider housing investment, justice infrastructure, including early planning for the Development Center for Justice to support regional justice services. Across this work, PSD provide clear oversight, cost control, and support to help projects stay within the approved scope, schedule, and budget. Public service delivery is also responsible for government-wide procurement and supply chain services. This helps ensure goods and services are brought fairly, openly, in line with the policy and financial controls. The department also works to improve internal system, process, and control. This helps ensure departments across government have the support they need to deliver programs well and efficiently. Through its consumer protection mandate, PSD delivers services directly to Manitobans. These services support fairness, clear rules, and the administration of key programs. These services include Residential Tenancies Branch, Residential Tenancies Commission, which delivers service under law related to residential tenancies, the Automobile Injury Compensation Appeal Commission, Vital Statistics Services, Land Title, and Personal Property Registry Services. Together, these programs are an important part of PSD's service delivery work as set out in estimates of expenditure. Public service delivery support program operation by maintaining public assets, delivering capital projects for the department, providing procurement services, and delivering consumer and registry programs. The 2026-27 estimates show PSD's ongoing focus on good management, accountability, effective service delivery. This work helps ensure government programs have infrastructure, system, and services they need to support Manitobans. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
We thank the Minister for those comments. Does the official opposition critic have any opening comments? The Honourable Member for Borderland.
We all want to see Manitoba grow. We all want new schools, modern hospitals, and infrastructure that keeps our communities strong. But we should also want to see those projects built fairly, with accountability, competition, and value for the taxpayer. Unfortunately, the Manitoba Jobs Agreement does none of those things. Clouding the re-announcement of 4 new schools, the NDP, without any consultation with the public or construction industry as a whole, or any other stakeholders, signed a deal that gives all the control of those projects to a select few while ignoring all other potential builders in the industry. This isn't about helping families or strengthening our communities. It's about rewarding political allies at the expense of the vast majority of Manitoba's construction workers and at the expense of Manitoba taxpayers, at the expense of all Manitobans. This deal hands guaranteed work and exclusive control to about 8,000 unionized workers, and while shutting out more than 88% of the skilled tradespeople in this province. Men and women who work for open shop companies or belong to progressive unions. That's not fairness. That's discrimination. against thousands of hardworking Manitobans who pay taxes, follow safety laws, train apprentices, and build our communities every day. Contractors and businesses that treat their employees well are being completely excluded by this jobs agreement unless the employers relinquish all control to the government through this anti-competition jobs agreement. And all the other hardworking Manitobans are paying for this with higher school taxes, higher education property taxes, higher income taxes, and likely the NDP will be raising the sales tax next. We are seeing billions of dollars of deficits, and no wonder as the NDP are sending money out the door as fast as they can with uncompetitive deals like this jobs agreement. Let's be clear. This deal doesn't create jobs. It limits opportunity. It doesn't build more schools. It drives up costs, which will result in less new builds and less new schools. And we've seen this story before. In 2018, the British Columbia NDP government introduced a similar plan. They called it the Community Benefits Agreement. The promise was familiar: more training, more local hiring, and better value for taxpayers. But the result was the exact opposite. Projects under that system became mired in red tape. Costs skyrocketed, delays became common, and thousands of qualified workers were denied a fair chance to participate simply because they didn't carry a union card from the right union. On one BC bridge project, the government's own cost breakdown listed a premium for CBA, a surcharge of $6.6 million on a $106 million project. That was the third largest cost item on the job, behind only steel and excavation. It didn't go to safety, training, or materials. It went to politics, plain and simple. And that's what we risk here in Manitoba. And we should also remember our own history. The Red River Floodway expansion used a similar union-only model, and many skilled Manitobans were denied work on that project. It was unfair then, and it's unfair now. Supporters of this new jobs agreement will tell you that open shop contractors don't pay fair wages, don't follow safety laws, and don't train apprentices. And that's simply false. We already have a Construction Industry Wages Act that sets fair pay for every worker. We already have provincial safety laws that apply to every employer. And open shop contractors, who represent the majority of our construction industry, invest heavily in training, safety, and apprenticeships because their reputation and livelihood depend on it. The truth is simple. Manitoba's construction workers, union or not, are among the most skilled, professional, and safety-driven in the country. They deserve equal opportunity, not political exclusion. At this time of rising NDP deficits and the need to get our economy back on track, after the impact of tariffs, inflation shocks, and a pandemic, we should all be welcoming competition to get the most value for taxpayer dollars being invested, so that our children and grandchildren are not saddled with this NDP debt. This NDP side deal is going to mean less roads, bridges, hospitals, and schools will get built. So what does this jobs agreement really mean? It means less competition. It means higher costs. It means fewer schools, hospitals, and bridges for the same amount of public money. It discriminates against Indigenous-owned businesses, most of which are not part of these select unions. It shuts out family-owned companies that have been building Manitoba's communities for generations. And it tells thousands of qualified workers, qualified Manitoba workers, that their skills don't count simply because of who they work for. That is not the Manitoba way. We believe in fairness. We believe in opportunity based on merit. And we believe that public projects funded by public dollars should be open to every qualified company and every qualified Manitoban worker. The Canoe NDP should step back from this costly mistake before it's too late. And let's learn from the failures in British Columbia instead of repeating them here. Let's restore open tendering, the principle that every qualified contractor can bid and the best value for taxpayers wins. When governments restrict competition, taxpayers always pay more and get less. When governments pick winners and losers, innovation suffers and public trust erodes. But when we keep bidding open, transparent and competitive, everyone wins. That's how we build not only better schools, but a stronger Manitoba, one based on fairness, merit, and respect for every worker in our province. Thank you.
We thank the critic from the official opposition for those remarks. Under Manitoba practice, debate on the minister's salary is the last item considered for a department in the Committee of Supply. Accordingly, we shall now defer consideration of line item 8.1 bracket A contained in resolution 8.1. At this time, we invite ministerial and opposition staff to enter the chamber, and I would ask the minister and critic to please introduce their staff in attendance. Would the minister like to introduce the staff in attendance, the Honourable Minister of Public Service Delivery?
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I would like to introduce the staff with me today. Deputy Minister Brenda Desrano, Director of Ministerial Affairs Julia Anthonyson, Assistant Deputy Minister and Executive Financial Officer Jason Perez, Assistant Deputy Minister of Asset Management Division Brent Timmerman, Acting Assistant Deputy Minister of Procurement and Supply Chain Division Kunal Sharma, Assistant Deputy Minister of Consumer Protection Division Catherine Turkin-Chad, Acting Assistant Deputy Minister of Capital Project Planning and Delivery Division Cheryl Lasek. Thank you.
And would the critic like to introduce his staff, the Honourable Member for Borderland?
Sure. With us today is Mark Stewart, member of PC Caucus staff.
In accordance with Sub-Rule 78, Bracket 16, during the consideration of departmental estimates, questioning for each department shall proceed in a global manner, with questions put on the resolution once the official opposition critic indicates that questioning has concluded. The floor is now open for questions. The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Thank you. I'd like to ask the minister, what is the current ratio of frontline staff to that of administrative or support staff?
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I just need clarification from member opposite. Does he want to know the administration staff in the minister's office or all the divisions?
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
Thank you. Yes, the department as a whole.
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Just want to let the member know that the Minister's Office have 5 positions and Deputy Minister's Office have 4 positions. And in the department, we have a total count of FTEs, 875. Out of this 875, many folks provide those frontline services. Again, we have to work with the Public Service Commission to ask what the member is asking. But in case if he is just want to know from Minister's Office, that's where we have 5 position, and Deputy Minister's Office there's 4, and total 9 position administration staff positions at the Minister and Deputy Minister's Office.
The Honourable Member for Borderland.
I'd ask the minister if he'd be willing to undertake to get that information to us. We'll be in estimates again tomorrow or at any point in time, but it would be good to have that information. I'd also like to ask the minister, when's the last time that the government, that his department polled Manitobans about their overall satisfaction or dissatisfaction with the services that his department provides?
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Just want to let the member know most of the department that we work is for the government, other divisions. Asset Management Division looks after all the government buildings that Manitoba government own. Procurement and Supply Chain Division, we procure stuff for the Manitoba government. Capital Project Planning and Delivery Division just work for capital planning for the government. And for a Consumer Protection Division, that's where is mostly interacts with the public. Under that, we have brought in quite a few good bills to help Manitobans. Under that division, we banned property control in the grocery sector so that there's more competitions, and that's very well received. And most of the other provinces are also looking at this, so they want to learn from our experience as well. And we introduced the largest expense of renting control in decade, reducing above guideline increases and bringing thousands more units into rent regulation. It was unfortunate that members didn't want to allow the bill to pass, the Bill 13. This was really a good bill, and this is where both landlords and the renters asked for this, actually. So I maybe just want to let the member know what was in the bill, actually. So it was rent regulation review, requiring a review of rent regulation every 5 years to keep rules up to date with market conditions. Landlord registry, requiring landlord to register more information about each rental unit with the residential tenancies branch. This is where we have heard from many Manitobans. Sometimes they don't even know who is their landlord and who is the property manager. So it's good to have that information in case of emergency in that facility. So that way our division can provide those information to the renters. And it's also included removing past order from the public registry after 7G except public safety related cases. This was where we heard from many Manitobans that, you know what, people are having a hard time sometimes, like they were young, they weren't really thinking, and now they're like 40s, 50s, but they cannot rent the unit because of their past actions. They have made life better, they're successful, and this is again heard from many folks, and this was in the bill as well. Increasing the administrative penalties for non-compliance from $5,000 to $10,000. That was also something people really were asking for it. And there are, even landlords said, you know what, there are certain landlords that don't want to follow the rules. And we will not gonna even force the penalties on their first offense. Our department will work with them to rectify the situations that there are. And if they don't comply, as the last resort is to have that penalty. And also it was landlord must give a 24-hour notice before showing a occupied unit to prospective tenants. So this was really a good bill. I have no idea, but members made a big deal out of this. Again, this is renters as well as landlords. I have many meetings with them, and both sides said yes, this is the kind of bill that we need for the protection for the renters. And for the landlords, we're saying there are certain landlords that don't want to follow the rules. So we required that kind of bill, so make sure everyone is aligned. If they don't follow the rules, there's penalties can be applied. on any orders. If there were certain orders last time, now there is on any order. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The honourable member for Borderland.
Well, that wasn't anywhere near what I was asking about, but we got 5 minutes of rambling from the minister about other matters, and if he wants to talk about those matters, I'd be happy to talk about them as well. And I'd like to read into the record some words by Don White, someone who is in the industry and would understand exactly what the minister is talking about. And he said that he was reading recent comments from the minister in the Winnipeg Free Press, and he says, I'm less concerned about the legislation being controversial and way more concerned that he, being this minister, finds industry feedback laughable. He went on to say that when the minister says he only has to laugh, which is what this minister said, and suggests that people haven't read the bill, while property owners, lenders, and contractors are pausing tens of millions of dollars in real capital work and laying off staff, it tells me the public that the public consultation was never meant to be a serious conversation. It was rhetoric. Don goes on to say, our professional property industry has briefed this NDP government multiple times on how significant these proposed changes are. Brushing that off with a laugh is not leadership, it's contempt. That's pretty damning. Let's be honest about what is going on here. You cannot bring more units under rent control and slash the recoverable portion of capital costs and pretend that won't change behavior. Owners will defer repairs, cancel upgrades, and think twice about building and investing in Manitoba. You cannot keep loading more cost and risk onto private rental housing and then act surprised when capital quietly leaves the province. You cannot demand better, safer, newer housing from private owners while designing rules that make it irrational to invest. And I would just go on to note the Winnipeg Free Press reported in an article last Friday, April 17th, entitled Tories Delay Contentious Rent-Focused Bill. I think one of the most alarming pieces in that article is this right here. Globe Property Management said it has paused $10 million in capital spending. That's $10 million in Winnipeg. The firm applies for above guideline rent increases to recoup costs of renovations that have been completed. I suspect most landlords are going to continue to be in a holding pattern until the decision has been made, said Ron Penner, Globe's Chief Operating Officer. Restore Technologies has delayed 4 projects owing to the proposed changes, resulting in roughly a dozen staff being laid off. It's just kind of kicking the can down the road right now, owner Stéphane Fanouf said. No one knows what is actually going to happen. So it's clear that, again, the minister is putting forward legislation, this NDP government is putting forward legislation that will discourage investment in rental stock in Manitoba at a time when we need a greater supply of units to bring down rents. This bill is going to have the effect, the bill that they have brought forward is going to have the opposite effect and lead to less investment, fewer available units, and higher rents as a result. And at the end of the day, this minister across the way, who's again laughing, has put forward a bill that is really an anti-tenant, an anti-renters bill that will reduce investment in rental units, decrease the number of available units, and lead to higher rents. And so I think that that's appalling, and the minister should take a closer look and do a better job of consultation. I'm concerned at the lack of consultation by this minister, by this NDP government. They've made drastic policy decisions that are having a very severe impact in Manitoba. And so I wonder why it is that this minister and his colleagues and the Premier, this government as a whole, why don't they undertake to do any consultation before making such drastic changes?
Before the minister has an opportunity to respond, I just want to remind everyone that bills before the House aren't part of estimates. So I would like to remind all honorable members of our Rule 43, which states no member shall revive a debate already concluded during the session or anticipate a matter pointed for consideration on which notice has been given. So Bill 13 is currently before the House, and I would suggest that it would be more appropriate for the members to comment on the bill at the committee meeting, considering the bill, or at third reading. While I recognize that there is a connection between the bill and the estimates under consideration, I would also ask members to focus their comments on the matter currently before the committee. the Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you to the member, even though there was no question. Honourable Chair, I have a lot of respect for the industry. That's why I have met with them repeatedly to discuss the rent regulations. That's where the member is not understanding difference between bill and the regulations. The RTV meets with the landlords and tenants every month. We are consulting with the Manitobans. We recently concluded a 30-day public engagement that had a large response from the public. I will take a look and go through those comments from the public, and as we develop the final regulations, those comments will be weighed in the final regulations. So again, the member is still, again, maybe hopefully he understands now. There's a bill and then there's regulations. And this is, we are talking about the regulations. So, and also Honorable Chair, we are making life affordable for Manitobans. When we were running in the elections, we promised that we are going to cut the gas tax per year. We did that for the whole year. Then we made a permanent 10% gas tax cut. We froze the price of milk. We stopped predatory pricing at the grocery stores. And also, Honorable Chair, we cut the gas tax, as I said earlier, to save money for Manitobans so they can go out and spend and enjoy their meal out. We also froze a hydro rate for a year. We reversed the PC cuts, the renter's tax credit. This is where they brought this to $575. Honorable Chair, who are those renters? Those are the folks on low income, newcomers, students, and also seniors. And what we did in the budget, we increased the renter's tax credit to $675. Those people deserve to have that restored because, again, conservative is always good at giving a break to the rich people. We will stand with everyday Manitobans. We are also getting families a real 10-day child care. And also introduced in this budget, people with the low-income families, a free child care. That's a real savings for the families who really needs it. What is the PC's record when it's coming to affordability? They had a chance. They had the chance to cut the gas tax. Did they do it? No. They continue to collect that 14 cents per liter from Manitobans. They had the chance to freeze the milk prices. Did they do that? No, they didn't do that either. Again, every day, I will continue to stand with the Manitobans. We will continue to listen to Manitobans. We are out in the public, listening to their concerns. This is the direction from the Premier to single MLAs as well as ministers. Go out into the public, listen people's real concerns. Bring those to the table. Let's solve those issues that people are facing. I will continue to do that. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The honourable member for Borderland.
I don't know if the minister is confused about his own file. He talks about the bill and he talks about the regulations interchangeably. In fact, he did that with the CBC in an article that they put out March 12th, headlined NDP Plan to Expand Manitoba Rent Control Protections. And in it, the minister talks about the proposed regulatory changes as well as Bill 13, which he called the largest expansion to rent controls in decades. But just to be clear, I was talking about the proposed regulatory changes, which would raise the rent exempt threshold from $1,670 a month to $2,000 for units in buildings 20 years old or older, and other associated, as well as cutting other associated proposed regulations, such as cutting the capital cost allowance by 50%. And so where does that leave us? Well, as I said earlier, Globe Property Management said it has paused $10 million in capital spending. So think about what kind of picture that creates for Manitoba renters. You know, young families, perhaps seniors, those vulnerable Manitobans, those who are perhaps lower income or struggling to get by, struggling with affordability in this NDP economy. When you have capital leaving the province and investors not investing in rental stock, in improving rental stock in Manitoba, and in expanding the supply of rental units in Manitoba. Think about what that means for you as a renter. Again, Globe Property Management said it has paused. This is recently. This isn't old news. This is current news. This firm has paused $10 million in capital spending in Manitoba. I suspect most landlords are going to continue to be in a holding pattern until the decision has been made, said Rod Penner, Globe's chief operating officer. Conrestor Technologies has delayed 4 projects owing to the proposed changes. This NDP government's proposed changes, the ones that this minister has been talking about, resulting in roughly a dozen staff being laid off. It's just kind of kicking the can down the road right now, owner Stefan Fanouf said. No one knows what is actually going to happen. I think that is a pretty damning indictment of this government's handling of the rental issue in Manitoba and affordability for renters and providing affordable rental units in Manitoba. And by the way, that $10 million that's been paused, that's not going to local contractors who spend that money and recirculate that money in our economy. So the minister, again, should perhaps do a little more consultation, and that's what my question was about previously, which again you failed to answer. But the minister should do more consultation. His NDP colleagues should do more consultation with Manitobans, perhaps not be so bent on pursuing their ideological priorities, but rather be have a practical perspective that's grounded in the realities of what Manitobans are facing and what they're actually asking for. And again, they're not doing that. And we see that especially with the imposition of a 1-to-1 apprenticeship ratio, which for the first time in years, Manitoba is seeing fewer new apprentice registrations in Manitoba. For the first time, we have an actual decline in the number of Manitobans registering to become apprentices, and that's troubling. And we have the minister getting up in question period and talking about how there are more apprentices. Well, that's only because there were many Manitobans who took advantage of the opportunities made available to them by the previous PC government, and those apprentices are now graduating and becoming journey persons. And so what's concerning is the imposition by this NDP government of policies that are really economically damaging, and doing so without any consultation. I wonder why the minister didn't consult with industry leaders before implementing the MGA.
The minister's time has expired. Member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I had many conversations with the industry, WCA, Manitoba Heavy, it's called the Rural Construction Association. Had not one, but many meetings on MGA, as well as I have a quarterly meeting with WCA, both congratulations to Ron and Chris. I hear they're retiring. So, and welcome to the new folks who will be taking over on their positions, Daryl. And so it is that conversation will continue. Our quarterly meeting with WCA will continue. What is actually Manitoba Jobs Agreement? Maybe member was also offered a briefing on this. I heard he refused to even listen what is in Manitoba Jobs Agreement is and what is this talks about. This is how we protect jobs for Manitobans. This is how we train the workforce for the future. There's more apprentice than ever before. Every single person who works on MJA is better off. They make more pay. It's all about fair wages, safer worksite, better benefits. I don't think so in my life as an elected official since 2019. I have met anyone who want to make less money, any workers. So we are listening to those folks at the front line who are building Manitoba, who has been building Manitoba for generations. We will continue to listen to the workers. We will continue to listen to the industry as well. As I said, I had many meetings. And, training the workforce for the future, turning those construction site into training site. That's really important. As we move forward toward Churchill, there was really exciting news out of Ottawa. And we have to have a workforce that delivers, that builds Manitoba, that builds the Port of Churchill. And again, this is all about prioritizing Manitoba workers. We know conservatives don't like Manitoba workers. In their 7.5 disastrous years, what they did, they were the workforce from Saskatchewan and from Alberta. Under us, your NDP government, you will have a Manitoba license plates at the work site. That's our focus. Our focus is Manitoba workers. That will stay every single day. I encourage member opposite have that opportunity to learn more about MJA. Let's listen to the workers. Let's see what is in the MJA so the member can maybe better understand. Next time comes to the house, maybe he's gonna have a friendly questions where he's gonna say, Minister, thank you very much. You are doing an awesome job. You are protecting Manitoba jobs for Manitobans. This is a $3.8 billion capital project happening this year under our NDP government. And I really look forward to the member getting that briefing regarding MGA. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The honourable member for Borderland.
Well, is the minister suggesting that industry leaders are lying? Because he's saying he consulted with them. But I have in front of me a press release that the Winnipeg Construction Association put out on September 16th, 2025, in which they say, the Winnipeg Construction Association was surprised by the provincial government's announcement on the signing of its first Manitoba jobs agreement with Manitoba Building Trades earlier today. It was a little surprising to see that announcement, since WCA represents the firms that will be bidding on these large construction projects, and we weren't consulted, said Ron Hambley, WCA president. Our members are both union and open shop construction firms, which gives us a unique perspective and voice on project labor agreements. It's unfortunate that the government didn't feel that perspective was worthwhile. So who's telling the truth? The minister or industry leaders? But the minister says he's consulting with them. He talks to them all the time. I wonder if he talked to them before they put out a joint industry alert regarding the Manitoba Jobs Agreement on February 10th, which is titled, Alert, Onerous Conditions on Projects Subject to the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. And they go on to say that the MGA poses an increased risk for prospective general and trade contractors and all contractors bidding on projects subject to the MGA should be aware of the following implications. Number one, increased administrative and compliance burden. Number two, unionized worksite requirements, and they go on. So to be clear, this joint industry alert is the construction associations, the three major construction associations in Manitoba, coming together to tell all Manitoba construction firms to beware of bidding on public projects put out by this NDP government. I wonder if the minister consulted with the construction industry before they wrote an editorial on February 24th entitled In Search of a Better Way to Build Manitoba, in which they say the practical consequences of the MJA are clear. Fewer bidders, reduced competition, increased administrative burden, and higher project costs. And they go on to outline numerous other concerns. I wonder if the minister consulted with the industry before they put out another press release on March 19th, and this is the Winnipeg Construction Association, Manitoba Heavy Construction Association, and the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, representing the majority of vertical and heavy construction industry across Manitoba, when they requested Manitoba's Auditor General review the 85-cent per hour per worker charge collected on MGA-covered projects that flows directly to a union body on top of existing dues with no public oversight, no explanation, and no end in sight, and yet taxpayers are paying for it. That's for immediate release, March 19th, put out by the three leading construction associations in Manitoba. I wonder if the minister consulted with construction groups before they went to the media. And the CBC put out this headline, construction groups raise concern over charge for contractors on public projects, citing zero transparency. It sounds like if the minister is talking to industry, it certainly isn't going very well, and he certainly isn't listening. But what's also troubling is that 88% of Manitoba construction workers have chosen not to be affiliated with Manitoba Building Trades or member unions. 53,000 Manitoba workers operate in open shops. They've chosen not to be unionized. I wonder how the minister explains how he can defend a policy in which he's given 100% of the power to an organization that speaks for less than 12% of the workforce in Manitoba.
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Well, thank you, Honorable Chair. Again, these bids are open to unionized shops and open shops. So again, I don't know, member was talking about 88%, 12%. He's trying to divide Manitobans. We are continuing to listen to Manitoba workers. And in members' questions, since he started asking these questions in this house, I haven't heard from the member that he has spoken with workers. Not a single time. So this is odd. You want to only listen to one side. Why you don't want to listen to the other side? And this is where you will know exactly why this is beneficial for Manitoba workers. We want those Manitobans to find a job here in Manitoba instead of going out of province looking for that opportunities. Well, away from their families. We want to they stay with their families here, have those jobs. And also, just want to let the member know that we are setting up a MGA industry table to get their feedback from people in the construction industry. This table includes member recommended by WCA, Manitoba Heavy, and Construction Association of Rural Manitoba. And also I want to thank our MGA team. They did a phenomenal job. They are out there meeting with the industry many times. They had attended a trade shows, conferences, hosted a workshop, and held bidders conference, not just once, many times. They were at also WCA did industry information session on MGA, and our team was there to provide the information that industry was looking for. So once again, thank you to the MGA team for your hard work. And as I said, these kind of PLAs or Manitoba Jobs Agreement has been used in Canada since 1950. This is nothing new. This has been used in pretty much every single province. British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario. And even the federal new project, most of them, they include this kind of agreement. And also, we have heard from federal opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre, support this kind of project, this kind of agreements. Maybe member can have that discussion with his federal leader on this. This is important. This is putting Manitoba workers first. This is listening to them. And also listening to the industry as well. Not only the MGA team, our Deputy Minister's Department, myself, have many meetings with Manitoba Heavy, WCA, Construction Association of Rural Manitoba. We have many meetings. We have discussed many issues related to MGA, as well as general discussion related to construction industry here in Manitoba. Thank you.
The honourable member for Borderland.
You know, the minister spends time talking about federal politics and federal policies. If he's so interested in federal politics, then I'd welcome him to run for federal office. But as far as I'm concerned, and this PC team is concerned, we're here to speak for Manitobans. That's why we're here today in this Manitoba legislature. So at least we on this side, in this PC team, understand that that's what we are here to do. We're here to do a job, and that is to speak for Manitobans, especially those Manitobans, those 53,000 Manitobans who have been disadvantaged by this NDP government when it comes to the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. The minister, it's so rich for the minister to say that, well, they want to divide. No one's precluded from bidding on projects. Everyone can bid, which is complete and utter nonsense. They're the ones dividing. They're the ones dividing the 12% of unionized workers from the 88% non-unionized workers. And that's highly unfortunate, because up until now we've had a situation on construction work sites in Manitoba for the last 3 decades, if you ask industry leaders, and maybe even it goes back even later. But they'll say there's not been a strike in 3 decades, and maybe longer. There was one strike during the Red River floodway expansion, actually, about 20 years ago, and that happened in a unionized shop. But there's a reason why 88% of the 60,000 Manitoba workers are non-unionized. There's probably several reasons, because it's up to them, right? And I know this minister and this premier, the NDP premier, this NDP government, doesn't understand the concept of worker choice. But probably one of the reasons why 53,000 out of the 60,000 Manitobans have chosen not to be unionized is because non-unionized shops pay, most of them, pay between 5 and 30% more than the Construction Industry Wage Act minimums. In fact, many of them pay more than unionized shops. So let's just be clear about that. But when the minister says that we're the ones dividing, and that he and his team, my apologies, he and his team are leaving this open, are not precluding anyone from being able to bid on public work, public projects, such as schools, hospitals, roads and bridges. Well, let me take him back to his very own Manitoba Jobs Agreement, which I'm not sure he's read, or he's not being forthcoming about what's inside of it. Because in section 20.2.5, there's this phrase in black and white, where multiple candidates are deemed job qualified for a vacancy, Manitoba residents that are members of a union will be given preference over Manitoba residents that are not members of a union. So there it is in black and white. This own government's Manitoba Jobs Agreement says that we're Manitoba residents, and I'll read it again. I hear someone saying, read it again. We're Manitoba residents that are not, Manitoba residents that are members of a union will be given preference over Manitoba residents that are not members of a union. And for the minister, that's in section 20.2.5 of the Manitoba Jobs Agreement. So let's be very clear. This NDP government is dividing Manitobans. They're dividing the 12% from the 88%. They're not respecting worker choice. And there's good reasons why Manitoba workers would want to be non-unionized and work for an open shop, why 88% of them do. And this government is disrespecting that. But if the minister is so certain that the Manitoba Jobs Agreement is a good deal. I wonder if he would commit to an independent review after 1 year. Before any expansion or extension, require an independent review assessing competition, bidder participation, costs, timelines, apprenticeship outcomes, workforce inclusion, and regional impacts, and make sure that these results are publicly released and tabled in the Legislature. Can he do that?
The member's time has expired. The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Thank you to the member for the question. It's going to give me a great honor of putting a few comments. So what member is suggesting that those 53,000 workers shouldn't make more money? That's what he is telling the House today. As also it was reported in the media as well, half of those contracts went to open shop and half of them went to the union shop. So again, anybody can bid on these contracts. This is open to everyone. And also, as I said earlier, Honorable Chair, these kind of project has been, the legal framework has been used since 1950s in Canada. Well, I just maybe should highlight for the member what other provinces are doing. Maybe I'll start with Ontario. PLS have been used in Ontario since the late 1990s, particularly on large industrial, institutional, and infrastructure projects, with the stated goal of improving labor stability and project coordination. They are also widely used in the private sector, including by large multinational firms undertaking major capital projects. Just want to let maybe member know about what British Columbia is doing on this. British Columbia has a long history of using PLAs and similar framework, particularly on major infrastructure and resource projects, including hydroelectric development and transportation infrastructure. More recently, the province has used community benefit agreement, which are modernized from PLA that incorporate additional policy objectives such as local hiring, apprenticeship target, and inclusion of underrepresented group. These agreements have been applied to major public projects, including transit, hospital, and bridge construction. In Alberta, Honorable Chair, Alberta has used PLA-type framework on large-scale industrial and energy projects, particularly in the oil sands sector. In these cases, PLS has been used as a tool to manage workforce scale and complexity, including accommodating both unionized and non-unionized contract within a coordinated labor framework. Use in Alberta has been a project-specific and industry-driven. So again, Manitoba is not the only one. Other provinces are using it. And this is, again, where we are developing our workforce, where they will be working to develop the Port of Churchill. It is really, really good news for Manitobans. And recently, the survey came out, more than 78% of the people want to see the Port of Churchill developed, and we agree with them. Mark Carney agreed with the Manitobans. Our Premier has put this project on national stage, and this is where we need that workforce development so they can build that port. And we will continue to listen to both construction industry as well as Manitoba workers. Again, I'll encourage member opposite. Again, till this time, he never mentioned that he have met any workers who want to make less money. I'm sure every single person will be better off because of the MJE. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
The honourable member for Borderland.
What I had said, you know, it's unfortunate. The minister, I don't know, I guess he's just trying to kill time or something and get through this afternoon. But this is the way it's been for the last number of weeks and months, trying to get answers from this government on this really unpopular Manitoba Jobs Agreement. You know, again, 88% of construction workers in Manitoba in this sector have chosen not to be unionized. I don't know why the minister doesn't respect worker choice. And I said one of the reasons, out of the many perhaps, but one of the reasons why 53,000 Manitobans would choose not to be unionized is because they make more money working in an open shop rather than being unionized. There are all kinds of benefits to not being unionized. But again, it's about the principle of worker choice. If one wants to work for a union, well, that's fine. You know, and we already have, Manitoba has the Construction Industry Wages Act that sets minimums. And you know, it's just ironic too that there were unions that opposed higher CEWA minimums. You know, explain that one to me. But I think the minister, you know, to allege that, anyway, he makes stuff up. It's not worth responding to. It's not worth responding to. I think the serious concern is the
Order. I'll just caution the member on insinuating or stating that ministers are making stuff up. The honourable member for Borderland.
All right. One of the major concerns with the Manitoba Jobs Agreement is the imposition of an 85-cent per hour per worker charge. That's collected on MJA covered projects, and it flows directly to a union body on top of existing dues. So this is something that the construction industry has said is entirely unprecedented. There's no public oversight. There's no explanation. We've asked questions. The industry has asked questions. Where is this money going? What's it being used for? And let's be clear, this isn't chump change. I mean, it's 85 cents. But per hour per worker, you add that up on 4 new schools that are supposed to be built, that comes to $250,000 per school. That's $1 million across the 4 schools. And that's just those 4 schools. You tack on hospitals, you tack on roads and bridges, and all public projects. And again, these are projects that 88% of Manitobans, because they're non-union, they don't have a membership card, this government will treat them like second-class citizens. That's been made abundantly clear. There's 2 tiers of Manitobans here in the eyes of this NDP government. But collecting this 85 cents, and again, it could go higher. This number could be higher. It's completely at the discretion of the Manitoba building trades, this NDP government's political allies, who are collecting these funds and have set up this slush fund and are running these really slick ads for the NDP at the moment. So where is this money going? We haven't had any answers to that question. You know, what's it being used for? I don't know why it's so hard to explain something unless you were trying to hide the facts. So, you know, I've given the minister many opportunities in this House in question period, and I'll give him an opportunity here. And I just encourage him too to keep in mind that, look, these are questions that are being asked by the construction industry experts, by construction industry leaders. They have these same questions. Ron Hambley said he's with the WCA. Again, someone that the minister said earlier, and I guess we'll have to take the minister at his word, you know, but I definitely take it with a grain of salt. But the minister did say that he talks regularly to these individuals. So this is what Ron Hambley said. He said this fee is being sent directly to the Manitoba building trades without any clear oversight. Nobody in government has explained how the number was set, what it's supposed to fund, or who's watching the money. At the end of the day, taxpayers are the ones paying for it. So could the minister respond to Ron Hambley, perhaps, and Chris Lawrence and Daryl Harrison, and the many others, and explain where exactly that money is going?
The Honourable Minister for Public Service Delivery.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. I have seen this in this House as well outside the House. Nobody believes what their leader says in this House and then goes outside the House. So again, nobody trusts PC leader. But I do have some numbers for the member. Earlier he asked frontline workers, we have a 63.2%, and administration workers 36.8%. So that was his first or second question. So I want to thank all those workers working hard on behalf of Manitoba government and behalf of all those peoples providing that excellent service. And vital statistics. I remember visiting their office, and turnaround time came almost 6 months, 3 months.
Order. The hour being 5 p.m. Committee rise and call on the Speaker. The hour being 5 p.m., this House is adjourned and stands adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning.